Hey, welcome back, Knicks fans. Just wanted to do another video about why the Knicks decided to pick Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. Basically, we want to figure out who advised Leon Rose to basically pick these two players. We definitely know these are not Tom Thibodeau type players, and Leon Rose went ahead and picked these two players anyway. And so we just want to discuss how this came about. I do remember watching a few interviews before where I think it was either Ian Begley or Mark Berman, where they basically said that this was basically a Brock Howler and a data science team. Essentially, this was kind of like they were the ones that kind of advised the front office on these two picks. And we knew after last year's performance in the playoffs, the Knicks did need more playmaking. And so this seemed like a pretty good idea, right? To go along to basically to pick these two players for the team to help out the offense. You lose some defense, but you're hoping you make it up on the offense. However, as we see, adding these two guys on the team this year really didn't work out at all. We actually performed way worse than we did last year, not just on the defensive end, but also on the offensive end. And honestly, we can't blame it all on these two players. Obviously, RJ Barrett basically shot poorly from the field to begin the year, and we expected him to take the next step. Although he's playing much better in 2022, we have to remember November and December 2021, RJ Barrett really struggled from the team, from the field. He was shooting about 38%. And of course, we also had our struggles with Julius Randle. So in no way am I me doing this video about Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. I'm not trying to blame both of them squarely for all the Knicks worries this year. This is really just to analyze why the front office decided to pick these two players and basically what their thought process was. Like I said, they struggled on the offensive end in the playoffs last year, and so they wanted to add a little more firepower, a little more playmaking, and so that was basically, I guess, maybe the context around what went into a small piece of the context of what went into the decision being made. Now, like I said, it looks like it was attributed to Brock Aller and the data analytics team that they advised Leon Rose on this. And so I'm wondering, what were they looking at? What made them decide to add these two players to the team? What made them think that they were actually going to be a net positive for the team in terms of productivity? And so the first thing I did was I looked at the offensive rating and the defensive rating for both of these players. And if you look at it and then look at the net rating for both players, it was actually +3, right? But then we also have to remember these net ratings, these offensive ratings are really more team stats. So this is like how well the team performed on the offensive end while Kemba and Fournier was on the court. So Kemba Walker offensive rating was 114.5, and his defensive rating, while the team's defensive rating while he was on the court was 111.4. And so there was a net rating of 3 with the team while he was on the court. Same thing for Evan Fournier. While he was on the court, the offensive rating was 113.4, defensive rating was 109.9, and his net rating, the team's net rating while he was on the court was 3.5. And so if you look at that by itself without looking at anything else, you can say, you know what? The defensive rating is not so terrible for Kemba Walker. And the defensive rating for Evan Fournier is not so terrible. As a matter of fact, the defensive rating for Evan Fournier this is actually pretty decent, right? This is actually pretty solid in my opinion. And actually 111 is not great. It's slightly below average. However, if you told me, it would be 111.4 and this is what it was going to be while he was on the court with the Knicks, I think I will take that, to tell you the truth. However, because these are team ratings, these are basically team statistics, you kind of have to isolate the individual statistics. You want to look at the individual statistics as well to see exactly, what these guys are bringing to the team, right, as an individual. And so what I did was, for 2020, 2021, I looked at the field goal percentage for Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, and then I also look at the opponent field goal percentage for these two guys. So essentially, this is what the opponent shot against these two guys. This is how well they defended the opponent. So Kemba Walker shot 42% from the field, and his opponent shot 46 and a half, almost 47% from the field. So his net rating was individual rating as an individual was minus 4.5, right? And so Evan Fournier, he shot almost 45% from the field, and the opponent shot about 46 and a half, almost 47% from the field, and his individual net was minus 1.7, almost minus 2%, right? And so if you look at these individual net ratings and you compare it to this team net rating over here, honestly, what it suggests to me that when they were actually on the Celtics, maybe they were actually a drag on the team, on the offense and on the offensive end and also on the defensive end, right? So I don't think they were a net contributor to the teams to the team. They weren't a net positive contributors to the Boston Celtics team that they were on in 2020, 2021. And so that just kind of makes me wonder exactly what are these data analytics teams looking at, and what goes into the decision. Because these are basically simple, these are easy stats to pull up from NBA.com, and that's where I get all these stats. And this is all I'm using to do the analysis, right? And so it just kind of makes you wonder, what are they looking at? And so also, before I go any further, I don't know if I said this at the beginning of the video, but these guys are very highly educated. Brock Aller, Chris Feller, Sean McLean, and Nick Fell. These guys do this stuff for a living. I think one guy has a degree from an Ivy League, but these guys have advanced degrees essentially, and they focus on this stuff. They study data analytics. They have master's degree, not just in data analytics, some of them in business, and so they understand statistics, especially as it relates to sports, right? At least I'm assuming they understand it as it relates to sports. Statistics is statistics, and so I'm sure they understand statistics very well. However, it kind of makes you wonder, yes, they understand statistics, but how well do they understand basketball? How well do they know basketball? And so, I don't know anything about these guys. These guys probably play basketball at the universities they went to. They probably play high school basketball. So that I don't know, but it does make me wonder, right? And so, because a lot of times, a lot of these data analytics departments, you can't always just fill the departments with just people that that just understand statistics, right? I think a lot of times maybe they should make sure they actually look for guys that maybe played basketball in high school or in college. I think you have to either play some form of basketball or be a basketball junkie, in order to be in an analytics department for an NBA team. That's just what I think, in my opinion. But that says, this is in no way trying to demean their profession and demean their talents and what they do. Like I said, these guys have advanced degrees, and these guys do this for a living, 40 hours a week, probably 40 hours plus a week. I'm just the guy who does this for fun, and I get it from NBA.com. However, all that said, what were they thinking? Given the data that you have out there on these two players, what made them decide to basically pick these two guys? And honestly, this falls, in my opinion, if it is true that the decision to pick these two guys came squarely from that data analytics department, or that they co-signed these two picks, what were they thinking? What were they looking at, right? And so it just kind of makes you wonder. It's like I said, you have to compare the net individual rating, basically what each individual is bringing to the floor, right? And then you have to, you also have to look at the net team rating, right? Because this is a team sports, right? And so sometimes when they're on the court, the team may perform better on the offensive end, although they're not doing very well on the defensive end. And so there's a lot that goes into this. But all I'm just saying, sometimes you have to look at both, kind of look at the complete stat, look at the statistics at the individual level, and then you can also look at it at the team level. And so I think this is what's tripping up a lot of people, a lot of basketball teams and the data analytics departments. I think they're placing way too much stock on these. These are important ratings. I'm not saying they should throw it out the window. They're very important ratings. However, I think they need to do a better job looking at individual ratings. These are not the only thing that best predicts the team's ability to win. You know, these are not the only two. Honestly, when you basically, if you do look at these advanced ratings here, right, for individual players, and if you can find your most productive player on the team, usually there's a high correlation for the most. Usually, there's a high correlation between that individual and a team's performance. That's especially if you have a team where just like really only that's not a well-rounded team where there's like, let's say, one individual that essentially dominates the ball, that have a high usage rate, who averages, they'll also probably average the most points, also average a lot of assists. And so usually you'll be able to basically use that to predict. You can use that to predict teams' ability to win, right, and what the person brings to the court. However, you can also do some predicting using regular statistics, using field goal percentage, opponent field goal percentage, rebounding, especially defensive rebounding. Those three statistics, or the basically traditional statistics, are the best indicator of a team's ability to win ball games over the course of a season. Those are the three statistics: the field goal percentage, opponent field goal percentage, and your defensive rebound. That's pretty much it. And so there's other ways, and so that's why I think they also should pay attention to the traditional statistics, because they do have something to say about these players and what they bring to the table. Hey guys, let me know what you think about this video. It probably ran a little longer than I wanted, but let me know what you think. Do you blame this on the data analytics department? If you do, then obviously, Leon Rose, they can't just, push it. The buck stops with them, right? They hired these guys, and, if the guys they hired advised them incorrectly, that's your fault. You hired the wrong guy. And then the other reason why I wanted to make this video too was because I always hear a ton of stuff about how great the New York Knicks analytics department was, and how much has really helped improve the team and all this other stuff, and how much of a genius Brock Aller is. And then you hear the report that basically these two guys coming to the New York Knicks, the idea came from that department, and which is probably, obviously it hasn't been a very good fit for the team, right? And so it kind of makes you wonder. But you guys comment below. Let me know what you think about this. Like and subscribe as well. I'll be more than happy to respond to your comments. I'm really eager to hear what you guys have to say about this video. Thank you so much. Have a good night.